Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for this video. This is going to be the first of 5 parts of the rounds that I took part in at the UKTC Leeds Super Major the weekend just gone. I have recently put a video for a sort of more broader strokes of my time at the event, how the list performed, and what the actual results were. Did end up going 4-1 in the end, which I was pretty happy with. Managing to go 4-0 and getting towards the end, and in round 5 getting beat by Josh Roberts, the the world number 1 on ITC. So pretty happy with my performance there. As I mentioned, this is now going to be sort of more an in-depth look into each of these rounds. I did take some videos at the event for the most part, and it should give some sort of insight into what I was thinking during then. And then I'm also going to try and recreate the key points and any sort of things I like to highlight on TTS from the games. So yeah, jumping straight into it. Round 1 is Terraform on the sweeping engagement layout. So what we'll do first is I think there is a video of the deployment layout for this one. And then we'll come back and we'll join in TTS, and I'll show you sort of my thoughts on the deployment and how the first round went out. Okay, just before we do, please, if you are enjoying the content, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll hopefully get back to you. And yeah, thanks everybody for the support for the channel so far.
So we've deployed here against the Tower round 1, got the Heavy Blight Launcher drone here, Pots Walkers storing home, spawns they can scout into safe positions if they need to, blind radius tucked in that little nook there, the Pots Walkers just pushing out there to stop any screening. Tallyman's having to be sort of a little screen here because he does have deep strike. The Heavy Blight Launcher drone and Blight Haulers down here, and then the Pots Walkers screening there. A lot of my stuff is in deep strike because they're hopefully going to spread the contagion and drop down and kill lots of stuff. We'll see how it goes.
So just to recap the deployment then, we do have the Pots Walkers down here sort of screening. The spawns are in a position that I can be aggressive on him if I need to be. So obviously, if I went first, I would just move straight forward and potentially try and tag as many things as I could. Same thing with Pots Walkers, come up to this line and just plot them off. The Pots Walkers here would probably try and do the same thing to stop anything going. And then the Heavy Blight Launcher drone was there to shoot this lane or come out and then shoot down this lane if I needed to. And the Blight Hauler, because of the tanks are over this side, I wanted to make sure that that was okay. I think the broadside was actually just chilling in here, actually thinking about it. But yeah, he had a hammerhead down here and also just peeking out enough so that it was down here. So I couldn't just put something like on the line here. A Piranha, I was scared about the Piranha because it scouts 9, moves 14. I didn't want it to just come and sort of like tag the Land Raider down here or potentially get some just shots into something for free. The Pots Walkers here were sort of blocking that as well. And yeah, the Tallyman, just because I knew they had the Flamer battle suits in the sky, didn't want him to be able to just drop 6 inches for no reason. Sorry, 9 inches for no reason. And then we do the roll off, and he does actually go first. And he does get a sabotage and a tempting target. And I think the best thing for me to do here is, because I've got 9 OC on this sort of point, is to tempt him over here. And then sabotage is an easy thing for him to do. He can just move out. I think what he actually ends up doing is he ends up putting these. He ends up putting the stealth suits on like the second floor, just up here. Wherever it is that they are, and because they are out of the deployment zone, it's fine for him to have them up there, and obviously they can potentially just jump up onto the top for the next turn and see anything. And then he thinks about it for a while. I think he sets out this strike team just to be over here, and the Piranha comes just down here. I don't think this needs to move. I can't quite remember if it just got this sort of angle down here. Everything's sort of staged around. Skyray ends up being like here, Coal Star's here. Ethereal, I think they end up screening like 1 inches down here to make sure that he's got his 9-inch sword. And then yeah, these guys are just kind of just chilling down here. Don't want to be visible for no reason. So he's got everything sort of screened well, and then he makes the decision that he is going to sort of sacrifice the breach unit. So he moves this however far it needs to go, and then the breach unit that he has gets out and is able to put at least a few models on the point, and just absolutely annihilates these potswalkers, which is good for him. So he's got a tempting target there. What he does do, these spawn. There was just about enough room to fit these in here, so I'll put these here for now. And these spawn came up and hoped to try and live if I could, because if I do, then obviously it's fantastic for me here, because I'll just be spreading the contagion and tagging things and getting things stuck, making them fall back. So he shoots all the breaches and things into the potswalkers here. I think pretty much every piece of indirect goes into these potswalkers and kills all but maybe one or two. And they go like that. The pull order here will become important in a second. And then I think he also manages to just about kill both of these spawn. So yeah, and these spawn are hiding inside the ruin. So we've lost 3 pieces here, and what he does do, which I think is probably was the right decision, the devilfish ends up charging the potswalkers, and I think he actually kills them both in melee as well. Can't remember if it was a tank shock or whatever it was, but he ends up killing the potswalkers, which kind of keeps his devilfish sort of safe here, because now I definitely have to sort of expose the land raider, and as soon as I do, this pile driver pulse cannon storm surge is gonna ruin its day. So turn 1 was pretty effective from Chris. He staged everything really well, so that if I had to retaliate, I would have to at least expose some powerful units. So yeah, going into my turn 1, I got marked for death and assassination. And as you can probably imagine, the marked for death things were like this stealth, distracting back here, the broadside, and something else. And because I had assassination, and also inside of here, I have the final ingredient, biologist putrefier, I thought, yeah, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to bring these plague marines out. It'll be a big threat for him to have to deal with. So we can see what resources he's going to have to use. I spent a couple of minutes thinking, do I want the land raider over the terrain piece or not? Because getting with this devilfish could be quite annoying. It can do things, move block. It's just extra shots that isn't required. So what we end up doing is remove the land raider. I think pretty much it's full 10, so that we don't mess up the charge here. Chris had warned us that he had a strat to do a battle shock and -2 charge, and he's almost certainly going to press it if he gets charged. I think we ended up with a placement of all the models. I won't do this exact because it'll take too long, but basically we had a 1-inch charge into these breaches, and we put all of our melters into the devilfish and anything else which could see into the devilfish, and we brought it down to maybe like 2 or 3 wounds, which was a bit annoying that it managed to survive, but that's just the way it goes. And everything else, we put a couple of guns into the breaches, because the Cadre Fireblade was sort of semi-close to us. So I think it was like a 2-inch charge, and he did end up pressing the stratagem for the -2, just in case it did matter. At least making me CP reroll, because if I fail this with a double 1 or a 3, that's probably game over. But we do end up picking up this unit, and we got a decent charge as well, so we were able to get most of the Plague Marines sort of as far as possible with the consolidation as well. We got like sort of all the way onto here. I think though we couldn't do it perfectly, so they could still sort of see the back end of one of the Plague Marines from sort of this sort of angle. But yeah, the majority of the things that would want to be shooting the Plague Marines were sort of hidden as well as possible. I say this sort of lived, and the land raider couldn't really do anything, but it was safe from the other stuff. And then I think the hauler and the hauler went forward because there was no reason not to, and I think the light drone just sort of stayed there, ready for anything coming down this flank. And what we did down here was, I think we had just advanced this over here so that we couldn't just get shot by the hammerhead. And what we did here was we moved out our 8, whatever it was, because obviously we were on the bottom floor. I think we basically got to around sort of here, and spoke this through with Chris. And what we wanted to try and do, and maybe this was my naivety with how much I thought Spawn would actually do to Tau in melee, but my idea was if I just charge these stealth battle suits, and we did luckily have a judge walk by, so we just confirmed at the time that this was okay. That the vertical distance between the battle suits and the spawn at this point was under the 5 inches for the engagement range. And I thought that if I kill these stealth battle suits, then I would be able to pile in and consolidate into tag the Skyray and the Riptide here. The Riptide didn't matter too much because it can fall back and shoot, but it's still something useful. And I think we managed to kill 2 of them, and we weren't able to kill them fully. So this one survived, and these were the units that were sabotaging as well. So he did end up scoring sabotage, and then I was able to consolidate within engagement range of the Skyray, because obviously this is 5 inches up and this was closer, so this was able to still stay like that. So they spawn were still in coherency and tagged the Skyray. This was still alive, which is sort of annoying. And then we've sort of spread out for turn 1. But yeah, this was the end of this sort of the board state end of round 1, and I've got a video showing that, so I'll jump back to that, and then we'll come back for round 2.
Here's the after round 1. We kind of just shuffled everything. We didn't want to really fight this side of the board. He ended up killing 1 unit spawn and the Poxwalkers with indirect and the Poxwalkers over there, so all of my chaff was kind of gone. We did make a bit of a play down here with the spawn to try and charge the stealth suits that were hiding in this, on the second floor of this building, and then pile into the Skyray to tie that up. But the stealth suits actually ended up living because spawn can't actually do any damage. We've set up here just to dissuade that situation, and we had assassination marked for death, so we had to kill the breach team. The Plague Marines squad got down here. We tried to hide them as well as we can, which I think we have done for the most part, but we'll have to see what Tau can do on their turn 2. And they got recover assets and storm hostile.
So we come into Chris's round 2, and he gets recover assets and he gets storm hostile objective. So I think he's happy again to say that the Piranha is doing assets. I think this guy just shuffles down a little bit. Riptide comes out. Skyray falls back. These guys shuffle over. I think they went back, and these guys came sort of here. These guys didn't really need to do anything. I think the board side maybe came back a little bit to get an angle on the spawn. The Storm Surge didn't want anything to do with the Plague Marine, so went as far back into the board as it could. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that he did on his turn, other than he brought these guys down sort of 9 inches because these guys have got all the flamers. And the main thing that he wants to do this turn is just wipe out these Plague Marines as hard as he can. I think we do end up doing the +2 toughness onto the unit just to try and keep them alive as possible. One thing that I do need to get remember is I killed the character with a final ingredient, and I did select the -1 move OC leadership. And one of the things I didn't forget till it was too sort of late, really, the stealth suit fell back from the spawn right to the top here so that he could spot the Plague Marines. If the stealth battle suit was battle shots, it can't do that, and I'd forgotten that I'd take that obviously about the -1 leadership. He passed the leadership on a 7, and we didn't do it until I didn't realize until halfway through the shooting phase. So it was a bit unfair to then say, oh no, you actually need to do that again. So we just continued as was, and that's just something. There's lots of additional rules now. You need to try and keep on top of. But yeah, so what sort of happens is he kills a lot of Plague Marines. I think the only thing that's left is the champion and then the 2 characters. So we managed to. I mean, it was a lot of shooting that was going on, and I think we lose 1 spawn. We lose 1 spawn to the shooting, but 1's still alive. One thing that we did do though, which probably worked out quite nicely, was a rapid ingress down here, and we wanted to make sure that we were off this line of the hammerhead, and we knew that the riptide was going to be going to here, and all the shooting sort of wasn't relevant from here. So that gave us a nice little threat on that flank. But yeah, so he does end up sort of neutering this Plague Marine brick, but that's not too bad, and he ends up scoring recover assets. I can't remember what it was, probably the Pathfinder team back here and something over here, but he does score that for the 3 points, and then it passes to my turn, and I get to bring it down, which is nice, and secure no man's land. So hopefully we can do that this turn. I think we debate on whether he was going to overwatch here, and he ends up saying yes. I declare I'm going to move, and he overwatches and he kills the champion, but the other guys remain alive. They did pass the battle shock prior to this, so yeah, they do keep this point, which is good. The Blight Hauler came out, and so did the heavy bullet drone. Want to try and get rid of just this whole unit if we can. We don't need this threat. And then the Plaguecaster is sort of in sight to be able to do its flamer. The Land Raider comes over here to plump its OC, and main thing we want is to not be shootable from a heavy shot from the Storm Surge. And then before that happens, Typhus does jump out, and I think Typhus is able to get out just far enough on the other side of the wall after the disembark and the move, so they can use his mortals to help. The drone comes around the corner so that it can see the Riptide. These two move 5 inches, and I think they can just see the strike team here to put in the flamers into them to cause some damage, and we've still got a 5-inch or 4-inch charge, whatever it is, into the piranha, so we're pretty happy with that. I think we also have, yeah, we do. We try for a big go turn, so I end up in a position where I'm 9 from here and 6 from here, and I think 9 from here, and we want to try if we can to get the long bomb charge. So we roll it out first, and I think this is quite low, and we end up making I think it's like a 9-inch charge here, and we think it's worth the tank shock here, and we do get enough to kill it, which is good. It's just another unit that we don't have to worry about anymore. Typhus goes in, and I think I mortaled the battlesuit, and I charged both of these. And I think Typhus is a couple of attacks go into the Devilfish to make sure that that dies, and some goes into the Riptide. But the Riptide does end up living. And then these guys, I think these guys failed their charge, and I had to CP reroll it. But they do get in the end. And yeah, these guys all, I shot a few of these off with the Flamers. So there's only a few left. And then because we had to CP reroll here, we didn't have the CP reroll up here, and we failed the charge. Which isn't the worst thing in the world because it's still a threatening unit, and there's not that many things that can see it sort of off the bat. But yeah, it would have been nice. I think this spawn does go and make the charge into the Skyray again, just to make sure that we can be as annoying as you can be. And yeah, so the Riptide definitely just live this round. We end up popping the Piranha with the attacks from the Death Shroud, one of the Death Shroud and the Lord of Virulence, and we obviously end up picking up the Fireblaze as well. I think I made a mistake at this point as well because I should have been able to pile in and consolidate into the Hammerhead, but I just got giddy and forgot. So then that ends up not being done. So yeah, that was the end of my round 2. And so I think I get Secure No Man's Land because I've got this one here. I think this is where I did assets, and then the Tallyman did assets, something like that, and then Secure up here. But we don't end up taking the point off the Riptide, but that's okay. And then we'll move on to round 3. So round 3, and this is when the Kauyon army ability starts kicking in. It gets sustained hits against guided targets, and things like that. So we know that the damage output is going to start ramping up. And what we do, what he does, it's his turn. He gets Secure No Man's Land and behind enemy lines. Realizes he's not going to be able to do that behind enemy lines, so redraws it for Established Locus. So with Locus, I think so he falls back his Riptide from Typhus. I think this stays and remains heavy. I believe these guys sort of trail out to be able to do locus for him. So yeah, he was just in sort of locus area, and then Shadow Sun came back to about here. I don't think he wanted to fall back anymore with the Skyray, because he had line of sight onto the Land Raider and wanted to be able to shoot the Land Raider. And then the Storm Surge, again, he wanted to stay away from wherever it was. And I think the broadside popped its head out so that he could see the Land Raider as well. So he wanted to kill the Land Raider, and he wanted to sort of remove any more threats that I had. And I think what happened is I remember one thing he definitely did was he shot the Skyray at the Land Raider, and I think he got 2 6s for the sustained, and pretty much one shot it with just the Skyray. So yeah, that wasn't fun. And then what else happened? The Riptide. I feel like this drone might have died as well. And then this drone. So yeah, the Riptide did shoot this drone. I think he ended up needing the shots from the Hammerhead. I think it just had line of sight there. So this drone does die. I think we might have lost one Death Shroud as well. No, he ends up shooting this unit of Death Shroud. I think he kills one of them up here. And Typhus does die, and but this drone survives, and so does the Blyhauler. So that was the end of his turn, and he did score Secure No Man's Land for the midpoint, and established locus. He scored there, and we drew Storm Hostile and Area Denial. And I forgot to mention the Taliban just sort of advanced here after the previous turn because there was no more deep strike because that threat was over there. So Storm Hostile was perfect. The Taliban just had to walk out here. This Riptide was very low, so the drone came here to make sure that he could see it. The Blight Hauler, we at this point we definitely don't have the resources to be able to even touch the Storm Surge, but we were able to see these guys back here, which was nice. And we're just continuing here with the Biologist Putrefier and the Plaguecaster. I think the Plaguecaster moved down here so that he could also get line of sight of the Riptide to do any extra damage. We're not doing any actions this round. No, we've got Area Denial and Storm Hostile. So yeah, I think we've lined up these guys so they're within 12 inches of the Riptide so that they can do all their power into it. And then these Death Shroud are going to go and pop this Hammerhead and be able to consolidate back onto here. These guys moved their 5, whatever it was. I think it was still a long charge into these guys. And we do end up bringing the Lord of Poxes and his guys down here. And I think we elect to be able to shoot with the plasmas, but there's no point in anything sort of super crazy, and we are outside of the 18 here. So if we're going to hopefully make this charge here. We're going to try the 9 inches into the ethereals or whatever it is. But yeah, I think the spawn is now dead as well. We've just killed our Lord of Poxes, unfortunately. But yeah, so they're just there, and I'll sort that in a second. We do end up popping the Hammerhead easily enough, and the Riptide does die as well. And I say we're not even going to try and kill this now. We do make the charge into Shadow Sun and the Skyray, and we do kill both. We've killed everything again. I'll fix that right in a second. But yeah, we've managed to kill enough things, and we've tagged into these fire auras as well.
So we are here at the start of 4. We missed a couple of rounds out, but yeah, the Terminators took out the Hammerhead over there. Lord of Contagion took out the Skyray. Storm Surge is still over in the back over there. We've got a few units over there, but it's not got too much left, so we should be able to carry on with the primary, but we'll see. He just drew Assassinate and overwhelming force. Bad tally, man. So yeah, we'll see how much damage he does this turn, and we're near the end of the game.
So at this point, we are pretty happy with the game state. Going into his turn 4, as we said, he got Assassinate on overwhelming force, so that does mean the Taliman's going to get popped. I think the Storm Surge does just pop it over here. Shadow Sun, I think, fell back from this fight over here, and we've got the Fire Warriors tagged, so they have to fall back as well. We're going to get some shooting that goes from the broadsides and the Pathfinders into the Death Shroud here. But the way that the primaries sort of going in the game now. I'm going to always be getting this. I'm always going to be getting this. And I think Terraform went off here fairly early. He did Terraform the left side and the center turn 1. So he has been scoring the primary on there as the game's been going. But I've been able to stop Terraform last turn with Taliman, and I've been able to stop Terraform here. So I'm now getting the points for Terraform for primary. So I'm going to be maxing primary for the rest of the game, which is nice. And yeah, just making sure that I can just keep him off the points for the next few turns. So he does, as I say, score Assassinate and Overwhelm with Force, and I think maybe kills one Death Shroud, but nothing too painful at this point. And then we get No Prisoners and Locus. No Prisoners, obviously, we're going to try and kill whatever else is left on the board. And these guys end up doing Locusts, I believe. I think Shadow Sun does end up dying. I can't remember to what. But yeah, these guys make the charge into the broadside. Yeah, that was it. They died, and the Lord of Contagion got back up on his used his got back up ability. I think these guys start terraforming to do that. The Hauler can't get through because of the Storm Surge's base, so it just keeps on shooting the broadside and the Pathfinders. I think we do take the broadside down from shooting. This moves up so that it can potentially get the primary, and on the last round we want to make sure that we are capable of scoring that. So I think this is out of the angle of the Storm Surge onto the broadside, but could move 10 to get onto there to score primary bottom of turn. So we would definitely be scoring max primary next turn. And yeah, we make the charge into here. I can't remember what kills Shadow Sun. It might have been a grenade, it might have been something else, but I know that she definitely dies this turn. And yeah, that's the end of turn 4. And then going into Chris's turn 5, he's only scoring the home objective on Terraform. There's no Terraform points left for him. He gets Bring It Down. He gets Cleanse, which he burns for a CP. Cull the Horde, can't do, and No Prisoners. So I think he does end up killing the Lord of Contagion, and he must end up killing this drone. And I say we've positioned so that we can get the Plaguecaster on here. I can't remember what it specifically was, but it was one of the units. I believe these guys are all dead. And then what do we get last turn? We got Extend Battle Lines and Sabotage, and yeah, these guys can sabotage up here for the 6 points in the deployment zone, and Extend Battle Lines we've got. So yeah, and yeah, we managed to get the max score 100 points against 73. See here, Chris did get a challenger card for the 4th and 5th round. Was able to do in round 4, but unable to get all in round 5. His primary started off strong, and the terraforms were ticking for the turns going, but I was able to take over those points with the OC, and he wasn't able to have that sort of second wave threat to take over the OC. Secondaries were okay, but you see a couple of missed turns here, and he just ran out of resources at the end. But it did still good scoring on the last turn, being able to kill things. My primary, obviously, I knew that I was going to have to terraform things back off of him with him going first, but it does mean that we have end of turn scoring, which is nice, and you can see we max primary for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. And yeah, we were pretty consistent with our secondaries, scoring very nicely along there. But yeah, it was an excellent game. Chris was a wonderful player. Round 1, you always want a good start to the game, so yeah, it was really enjoyable. Definitely shaking off a few of the cobwebs. A couple of mistakes like the not piling in the Death Shroud into the Hammerhead. That just to give it -1 to hit. There was no reason not to. And then yeah, there was another mistake with the remembering the additional plague in the final ingredient. It's a lot of data sheet abilities and detachment abilities compared to the index death guard. So remembering, oh yeah, this thing's now active, or remembering the death shrouds -1 leadership aura. That's something that does affect games, especially if you're tagging things and they want to fall back. if you are in the -1 OC contagion. And the next to the death shroud, that's -2, which can make even sort of the stronger morale armies fail quite a lot more consistently. So it's something that I need to need to remember. But this was a really fun game. Thanks, Chris, again. It was a good player. I did catch up with him a couple of times throughout the weekend afterwards. And that was it for round one. Took a nice solid victory there against Chris. Again, thank you for the game. It was lovely. And going into round two, we'll have that bat rep up next. Obviously, in a super mage like this, you still could get anyone in round two. So yeah, look forward to that. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you are not, or leave a comment and let me know if you like this sort of format with the videos and the recreation on TTS. And yeah, thanks very much. See you all in the next one.